there I was at the domestic terminal with my father-in-law and this really nice Japanese lady. And I asked her, which is the place where I should go to get the flight to Busan? And she said, well, it says Busan right over there. See, it says Busan in English. And it did not. So anyway, I walked that way and I asked somebody else, and sure enough, there was another Korean person, and I said, ODS, oh, Busan은 ODS, like where's Busan? Oh, 여기 있습니다, right over there. So because other people who were going back to Korea were going, and so my father-in-law got really inspired that I could speak Korean, and he said, "You speak Korean? Wow!" And so he really was a very changed spirit all of a sudden. And considering what it was just a little bit ago, it was like dramatic. So the situation was, I try, as I'm standing there at the Busan Air, I think it's a ticket counter, they don't accept my ticket because it had already taken off and I missed my flight. And I can't get another one, so I lose the money for that. And so my father-in-law sits there next to me, and he looks and he says, "Why you don't get ticket?" He speaks little English, very little. I said, "No good." So, "Mizukashi ne," he said, very difficult. And he looks at me very solemnly, like, "Oh." And then we both sit down, and meanwhile the line is going. And then the next miracle comes. He gets up, and he pulls this big wad of $100,000 yen out of his pocket. And he peels off 50,000 for me, $500 for my ticket back. I said that wrong. Anyway, they were not 100,000, they were 10,000. And he gives me 500,000. No, anyway, it's enough to get me to Korea, and maybe some extra little change. And so, the miracle is my father-in-law never carries money. And my father-in-law is stingy to the max. I married the samurai daughter. This is the samurai father. So, when he gives that money to me, I think that it's pretty amazing. And I really convey to him and really give him a big hug and say, "Thank you so much." Grab my bags and run over there, buy my ticket, get on the plane. And I promise to pay the money back to him, and I do actually pay the money back within the next 3 or 4 months as one of the first priorities. So, we're not done with the miracles yet, though. We have to understand why this whole thing happened. Well, first of all, you have to understand. You have to, when you look into my Betty Davis eyes and my crooked, Marlon Brando smile, there's a lot of evil lurking within. And evil is that really horrible mental pattern that we have made in our lives that prevents us from loving other people, caring for other people, and doing good things for other people. And my wife, being a samurai daughter, has many good points, to be sure. And she also has a few under the rug that we don't want to talk about. We all do. Well, I don't really know how to put it nicely, so I'm not going to. Whatever terrible word you can possibly think of, that doesn't even compare to the bad person that I am. In comparison to the true love, true life, and true lineage that I want to accomplish. And therefore, I want to move from that really terrible standard to the really good standard. And I really feel motivated to get there. But my wife refuses to help. At all. And so my sister agrees to kidnap me one day and pay for my trip to Cheongpyeong. And then when I'm at Champyong, after the first 40 days, my wife relents and she comes to Champyong with my son. And my son goes to Korea Elementary School in Shindoshi for his second grade year and learns Korean. Learns how to be a black belt in Taekwondo, becomes a great swimmer. And when he leaves Shindoshi Elementary School, the entire school gives him a party and presents and really, really loves my son to the max, which moves my wife's heart. So when we come back to America years later, we come back with a feeling that we have accomplished. And so that's the ending of the story, but we're not done with the story yet. So now we're going to flash back to when I'm still on the plane back to Busan. And now I'm in that mode of determination to get this done, to liberate and bless my ancestors so that my wife does not have to have such a miserable experience of her future, and that I can have a better future for my son and myself. So we get back to Busan. I get back on the train going north, and I get back on the stop that I'm supposed to get up. Then I climb the stairs that I'm supposed to go through to get to the top. And I have absolutely no idea how to get to Ilsan. And I have to go get all my stuff at Champyong to get to Ilsan. So in order to get back to Champyong, in order to get to Ilsan, that took a few more miracles. So I don't really speak that great Korean because I'm just getting there. And the Korean people are very magnanimous. They're ready and willing to help all the time. And that was no exception with me. When I got back to this, what happens is when you take the airport and you go on the train, it costs $10. But if you ask somebody who is a cab, it costs $100. The next miracle is a cab driver who noticed that I was wearing this shirt said, "Oh, I'll take you there. I know where that is." And he didn't charge me. That was a miracle. How many people ever got a free cab ride into Champyong? So that was a miracle. And because I did, and because I got there before the gates closed, I was able to get in and get my stuff and get to work the next day. Whereas had I taken the train, I would never have gotten there. Because I had to start work the next morning, remember? And so I got all my stuff, and the cab waited for me while I was at Champyong, and then he brought me back to the train where I could take the train to Ilsan. He said, Ilsan's no problem. It's right on the main line. I just take you.